I'm Chip and welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be explaining how you should be marking up your replacement parts for your washing machine and dryer repair business, or perhaps your appliance repair business or other service industry. And be sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to reveal the exact method that I use in my business to mark up my replacement parts. As an appliance repairman, you should have two goals in mind. One, you should offer an excellent service for your efforts, and two, you need to make a profit, and your profit cannot come from your service alone. You will have to mark up the parts you use as a part of your business model. Now first, let's get some details out of the way. There's an old saying that if you take care of your pennies, your dollars will take care of themselves. And that adage is particularly true when running an appliance repair business. Before you begin to buy replacement parts, let's make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck when purchasing them. To do this, you must first have set up your business. I have mine set up as a limited liability company, or an LLC, so that my personal assets are for the most part protected from any legal actions against the company. This is usually a simple process that you can do in your state and can be done online too. You also need to apply for an EIN number from the federal government, and this is also a simple process that you can do online for yourself. But beware websites offering to take care of this for you, because it's a simple process that you can do and it doesn't cost anything. Once you have yourself set up, you can acquire a tax exemption form from your state taxing authority that you can give to the vendors that you plan to do business with. This allows you to buy your parts tax-free, because when you sell them to the customers as a part of your service, you'll also be collecting the sales tax from them. In my business, I buy from a variety of appliance parts vendors, but I'd say my biggest supplier of affordable parts is Amazon, and a lot of suppliers use Amazon's fulfillment services to do business too. Now, I know there's a lot of people that don't like Amazon, but if you open an Amazon business account, you have the advantage of Amazon's business-only price savings, and if you get their American Express business card, you get 3% cash back on U.S. purchases. And we're talking about watching our pennies, and this adds up fast. I typically have over $100 in cash back every month that I use towards parts purchases. Along with Amazon Prime, you have the advantage of free shipping, and this is a huge savings when purchasing your parts. But it's wise for you to search the web to find the best deal on a particular part that you might need. And some parts can vary in price by a substantial amount between suppliers. But if you put in the time, you can find the best deal for you and your customer. Be aware that many times suppliers will offer you the lowest price, but will stick you on high shipping and handling costs. That's going to wipe out any savings you might have. So if you've done all that and made your parts order, how should you mark them up to be both fair to yourself and your customer? A simple percentage markup like they do in the typical retail store will not work in the appliance repair industry. Your replacement parts have a hidden cost that's called a burden rate, or better known as overhead. So if you want your repair business to have a healthy bottom line, you're going to need a parts markup strategy. There's actually a lot more that goes into the cost of a part than just the price that the vendor charges you. When you order a part, you incur a variety of costs beyond just the cost of the part itself. These costs can include things like the time you spend ordering the part, using a computer and the internet connection to do so, as well as the electricity and the phone bills that come with that. If you keep parts in stock, and you should, you also have to pay for the space to store those parts until they're needed. And don't forget about other overhead costs such as insurance and utilities. You might even have shop rent if you don't own your own business property or you don't work from home. You're going to have to pay for a service vehicle and all the costs that implies, like fuel and tires, licenses, inspections, vehicle repairs, auto insurance. And you should buy a lift gate so that you can easily move appliances by yourself, and that's a large expense to recover. You'll need to supply yourself with shop tools and a separate set of tools that you take with you on service calls. All these things cost money, and many of them are recurring expenses. How about the cost of your accounting software? And you also need the professional services of an accountant when your business grows. So now that we've mentioned all of these things, you can grasp the hidden expense of running your own business. All of these costs add up and can turn a seemingly affordable $40 part into $120 or more expense for your business. So if you happen to be the consumer watching this video and you're wondering why that part is so expensive, remember that there's a lot more that goes into that part than just the price charged to the business owner by the vendor. So considering all of that, what sort of markup should you put on your parts that's both fair to you and your customers? First, you'll have to develop a pricing formula that covers your expenses while remaining competitive in the market. You want to make a list of all your monthly expenses, and then you want to factor in what you expect to earn as a personal compensation per day. Now keep in mind that appliance repair business owners make a median salary of $49,890 per year, while compensation can range from a low of $28,980 a year to $81,470, it's important to ensure that your pricing strategy is profitable enough to support your business and provide a comfortable living for you and your family. To develop a successful parts markup strategy, you should keep in mind that your least expensive parts, like thermal fuses and door and lid switches, should carry the most markup. This will allow you to make up for lower profit margins on these parts with higher profit margins on your more expensive components like circuit boards and rebuilt transmissions and timers. It's also important to consider the national average service call rates for washing machine and dryer repairs. To fix a washing machine or dryer in the United States, consumers expect to pay on average $175 to $180 per service call. This information can help you determine what customers are willing to pay for parts and services in your area. Now, depending on what part of the country you're in and what it will cost you to make a good living from your business, you'll have to set what you will charge for shop labor, service calls, extra charges for things that you provide above and beyond a service call. These could be things like reassembling a machine that someone took apart in an attempt to fix themselves before finally calling you in, or using the small shop vacuum you carry with you to clean out a severely dirty dryer interior, and removing the drum rollers to unwind the hair that's jammed the rollers up. I have a separate charge for repairing burned wiring and minor cabinet repair. I also have a charge for picking up and delivering machines that need to be repaired in a shop environment, and I charge a little extra for rebuilding a timer by filing the points right there on the spot. When the price of fuel skyrocketed and it started costing me $90 to fill up the service truck, I started charging $10 extra for fuel when I made service calls more than 10 miles away from my shop. My shop labor is usually a minimum hourly rate, and in my business I charge $35 per hour, and I list it on the invoice as labor/shop supplies, because I have to pay for shop rags and lubricants and everything else that I use to complete that job. Most of the repairs I do don't take but about an hour for me anyway, and rarely more than 2 hours, and I charge a minimum of 1 hour of labor. Extra services like pickup and delivery fees, cleaning and servicing, wiring repair, cabinet repair, drain hose clean out, vent duct clean out, drum seal repair, all have a separate charge. And I have evaluation fees for those folks that want you to come out and tell them what it's going to take to fix their machine, but they're not ready to pull the trigger on the repair. I have 2 different evaluation fees, one for local and one for out of town, and it depends on the mileage. You should have a charge for machine setup unless you sold the machine, then it should be included in the selling price. You should charge for machine removal. Some people want you to pick up their old machines and dispose of them. I usually do this for free if I can find I can repair the unit and resell it. Other charges on my service list include painting, pressure washing dirty machines, pump clean out on front loaders, solder repair on control boards, timer servicing, transmission rebuilding, tub repair, and valve body rebuilding. My service calls are $55, and with the added fuel charge it's $65 when I go out of town. The cost of my service calls takes care of most of my monthly overhead expenses and part of my compensation when you do the math. So, how do I decide what to charge for parts? I use what's called a markup matrix. Now, I learned quickly that a percentage markup like used in retail businesses wasn't going to work in this industry. So after a lot of research, I decided I would use a markup matrix that assigned a set price to a part that was inside a particular cost range. This meant that percentage-wise, parts on the lower end of the spectrum are going to have a significantly higher markup than those that are near the top. I developed a markup matrix with 5 sets of cost ranges, each having a smaller percentage spread as the cost to me increased. And finally, once a part reached $67 or more, I fixed the markup at 20% above my cost. This arrangement works well with my business, and before I get any feedback from the haters out there saying that charging $20 for a part that cost me $3 after I bought 60 of them at a bulk rate, consider all the factors and costs you incur by driving 30 miles, and that's 60 miles round trip, to change a thermal fuse on a dryer. Then think of perhaps this is only one of the 3 service calls you're going to make that day, and you have to make enough money to make a living and keep your business healthy. The customer's pleased because her dryer's working again, and the one-time cost for that thermal fuse and your experience and knowledge was a reasonable charge for that job. You also have to take into consideration the difficulty of a particular job. So let's take, for example, changing a water pump on a front-load washing machine in a small utility room. You have to disassemble the front of the machine, remove the rubber door boot, bang your knuckles, stand on your head to get the defective pump out, put the replacement back in, and reassemble the unit. For these types of jobs, I will sometimes bump up the cost of the part to the next tier in the matrix to make up for the time and difficulty and the work involved. This will compensate me for the extra work and the time I spent making the repair, and it's fair to me and it's also fair to the customer. There are occasions where I adjust the prices downward during a job that there's several issues that need to be addressed and the cost of the parts add up. significantly. I try to keep my repairs below $125 and I rarely go above $150. This keeps me competitive and it keeps my customers happy too. And once I set these prices, I enter them into my QuickBooks Online products and services. And I have a nice ordered list along with the pictures of each of them that I call my suggested retail price for service technicians. If I sell a part out of my service truck, I always tell the customer that they can get these online cheaper than I can sell them, that I have to go by this list. They usually want the part anyway. They don't want to wait for it to be shipped to them. And when I use my QuickBooks Go Payment app, I have everything in neat categories like business cost recovery, services, inventory, and parts. And by doing this, it makes it easy for my accountant to keep my books. And if you want to see how I access my list of parts and services to bill the customer using my cell phone as my cash register, you should watch this video right here. Ship out.